And especially like in games like Thrill of the Fight 2, if you move into a shot now, you are more susceptible to a knockdown or a knockout. The opposite effect of that is that if I make my opponent circle by beating him this way, and then as he starts to circle, I start to counter with something, then who's gonna get those stuns and knockouts? You. VR boxing or regular boxing, no matter what, I don't want to be in a fight to the point where my opponent is dictating where I'm going. I want to tell my opponent where to go and what time to be there. All right, sorry, too much. I want to dictate where my opponent goes and well, that means me. Oh shit, this is like my 7th take. Okay, let's do it again. I want to make sure where my opponent goes, and when he's there, I want to make sure to counter with punches. For instance, if he moves left, I could follow left. That's annoying. Or if he moves to my left, I'm going to cut him off and force him back to the opposite side. He moves this way, I cut him off and I counter when he starts to go. Or he moves left, I cut him off and I counter with the straights, right? Maybe he doesn't even fire. Maybe he stays right in his tracks because I cut him off. Regardless, I'm not following anymore. I'm dictating where he's going to go because I'm going to beat him to the punch, beat him to the footwork. My opponent moves left, my left, I cut him off. What happens if he circles to the opposite direction? Same thing. I'm not going to go and follow him. I'm going to cut him off and go where he's going to go. So I'm here, my opponent starts to circle, I start cutting him off. Again, my feet are still apart. I'm not skipping, my feet are apart, my feet are strong. No matter where I'm going or how I'm circling my opponent, my feet are strong here. My feet are about shoulder width apart. So again, opponent circles to the left, I circle out to the left and cut him off. Maybe he circles the opposite direction now. I circle the opposite direction and cut him off. You see, I'm kind of putting him in a corner here where he's gonna stay until I tell him to get out, with my footwork, of course. So again, here, circle out, cool, circle out. Nice, he's now funneling in right where I want him to be. I counter, I make him miss. I'm here, I switch hands to confuse him, and then I can circle this way and counter with the right hand instead, or I can circle this way and counter with the right and the left. So if you learned anything by this video, it is do not allow your opponent to dictate where you're going. Then he can set up shots. And especially like in games like Thrill of the Fight 2, if you move into a shot now, you are more susceptible to a knockdown or a knockout. The opposite effect of that is that if I make my opponent circle by beating him this way, and then as he starts to circle, I start to counter with something, then who's gonna get those stuns and knockouts? You. As always, if you learned something, enjoyed it, if you've simply made it this far to hear my voice, make sure you're subscribed. And don't forget to drop a comment if you maybe are having trouble with your jab. You're not landing it. You need more setups off the jab. Or maybe you need setups off the 1-2. And for that, you can check out this video right here.